Greetings, one and all, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Survivor StockWatch, episode 3. The season is getting crazier and crazier by the minute. With me is Josh Elliott Pickle, of course, first, middle, and last name as always. Well, I'm not just calling you Josh. All right, this is Survivor StockWatch. We are professional men, and my voice is also very, very gone. Please excuse it. I know I sound crazy. I'm not sick. I just don't take care of my vocal cords properly. Josh Elliott Pickle, how are you doing? Did you have a good day today?
Well, I
You
did.
were busy.
I feel like I can actually share my day today because I live in Connecticut, and for people who are Survivor fans or have been keeping up with casting, Connecticut actually hosted a Survivor casting call today. So I made sure to get there early. I was able to get my 60-minute elevator pitch. I feel like I did good, but obviously you see what the casting wants, and you just kind of you go in there, you give them what you got, and when you're out of there.
And the second before we started this podcast, Josh got a call from a Massachusetts number, and we both sat there for a minute like we're just watching this guy go on Survivor 51.
It was literally an Uber Eats order.
It was Josh got food. But that is very exciting. I spent my whole day at a steakhouse chain restaurant. I will not mention what it is, but you might figure out what it is based off of the shirt I'm wearing. Anywho, this was a weird episode, Josh, because I feel like a lot of things happened and it felt very polarizing, I'd say, is a good way to describe the episode, because I feel like a lot of things happened, and on paper and logistically, it was a very chaotic tribal council. I mean, we had Cedric vote out or cast a vote for everyone on the tribe. We had a deadlock, a weird double revote into Justin getting voted out. What did you think of the episode? Because I feel like there's a lot of problems people had with like the journey being unfair. I feel like the Loggy storyline this episode hasn't really gone or progressed in a significant amount of way. And what did you like the episode? I think is a good starting point.
I do. I think that the episode has really had a crescendo when it comes to like how good it's been. I feel like the chaos and the way players are playing at such a high level at the beginning of the season, I feel like that's really engaged me as an audience member. However, last night was really tough for me because I was coming into this thinking, oh, if Justin's going to go on this journey, what does that mean? Is he going to risk his vote? I mean, does he feel safe enough to risk his vote? Yep. And honestly, if I was in Justin's position going on a journey when you're going to tribal with such low numbers, if I had the option, I'm not playing that. But it seemed like with what Bianca said, the players had to play this. They had to play this journey. And I feel like Justin got dealt a really, really bad hand.
Yeah.
Especially being on a journey and leaving 3 other players on, the island to kind of deliberate with themselves and discuss and strategize. It puts Justin on the outs, and to lose a vote.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, I'm down to also just bring up the graphic and we can talk Justin if you'd like.
Yeah.
I feel like we're already kind of getting there. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I do agree.
I feel like with me, every single player on Vula is dysfunctional and cannot get their stuff together. I mean, I can give you a reason for every single player. I don't see any way for the 3 of those people to work together. I don't see it.
Yeah.
When we'll talk about that when we get there, but Justin was really dealt a bad hand. And here's where I feel like Justin could have fixed and fixed his game or just kind of saved it. You see Say fighting for her life in this game, coming up with every single reason, begging, pleading, scrapping to ensure first spot in this game. And Justin's only response is, well, Cedric, do what's best for your game. I'm sure that you're going to make a good decision for what your game is. There was no fight. There was no fight, Justin. That's where you have to tell. You can't just assume and be naive enough to say, hey, listen, you know, it's my boy. He's going to choose me. He just voted say 2 times. Clearly, he changed his mind. You have to keep fighting in Survivor. You cannot stop. It can end.
What makes it feel worse too is that according to Cedric, at a watch party, Justin did try to like argue, and he did fight. The tribal council lasted 2 hours, and Justin, I'm positive Justin at least at one point said, you know, like, hey man, I have your back and have had your back. And I also don't think that telling Cedric that he lost a vote was a misplay, by the way. Like, I don't think that was what did him in, because that's such a stupid thing to like hang your hat under. Because in Justin's defense, Justin could have been like, Cedric, I didn't tell you I lost my vote, because then it's just a 3v nothing. And then, you know, it's like, it's easy for Mary and Say to like group up against me and vote me out and disregard your vote. You know, he could have said that, or we weren't shown that. And so it felt like, I think if you're a fan of Mary and Say, this was a great episode, a 10 out of 10, but it felt very scripted in a way. I'm not saying it is. It just felt like junk food with Justin and how he got voted out. It's like, I don't feel good about it. Like, it was a crazy tribal council. I loved what happened. I loved the scrambling and I loved the gameplay. I just don't feel good about watching what happened and seeing the end result, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We'll get to that with the other players. I feel like I have more to say with them on their team, what they did, but I feel like with our rankings from last week, we had really high hopes on Justin. And I feel like this was just an episode where he was dealt a really, really bad hand. And I feel like there is potential that Justin could come back, specifically for how unique this situation was that he went out in. I see the potential there, but I feel like the editors really gave him a bad edit too. If he fought, I would have loved to see more. There you go, Ronnie.
Yep.
I would have loved to see more fight from Justin. And for that to be the way that he went, when I feel like the edit was kind of showing his trajectory going up a little, being in the middle and being that middleman.
Yeah. Like, he had such a good, like, he had a very specific edit. And I really thought they were trying to save him, because he felt like he would have been like the sole survivor from the very dysfunctional and chaotic Vula tribe. He was good with everyone, and he just kind of got wiped off the face of the earth. And honestly, Vula just reminds me of Yanu. If instead of Q, Kenzie, and Tiffany, it was, you know, Jessica, Jelinski, and Banu, you know? Anywho, I think now we can talk about the players who are in the game. But before we talk about players who were in the game, let's talk about players who weren't in the episode. That, of course, is Chrissy. What's going on with Chrissy? She's low.
That was such a wild transition.
She has no screen time, no nothing. What is there to know about Chrissy that we don't know about Chrissy?
So I actually did a lot of thinking about Chrissy today. And Chrissy, I mean, this is StockWatch. We love talking stocks. This is my first buy low. I still have high hopes for Chrissy, and here's why. You don't go on Survivor to not be shown, you know?
Unless you're Justin.
There's a whole player that's not even being focused on in this game. And what that tells me, at least from my perspective, is Chrissy has not yet had her episode. And there's going to be an episode where we're really going to see a lot about Chrissy, and we're going to get to love her and understand her more as a person. And I'd like to call Chrissy a late bloomer in this game, because when that happens and we start to learn more about Chrissy, I feel like that's the moment when Chrissy is going to become such a bigger player in this game. So even though I have her ranked low, this is where she is now. But think about a tribe swap. Maybe, just maybe, she'd be able to get somewhere or find her people. What if she links up with Joe? And now her and Joe have that fire connection, and they're like number ones, and Chrissy has her number one. Because it seems like Chrissy and David on that tribe don't really have their person. Mitch has Charity. Camilla has Kyle. David and Chrissy don't really have each other, but they're kind of looking elsewhere. I mean, we don't really know what Chrissy's game is. But I'm telling you, at some point, I expect Chrissy to open up. And there's going to be an episode where that's going to happen.
That's not unheard of, too. Like, we've seen players like that. We've seen the late bloomers. And like what Ronnie's saying, that's honestly the biggest reason why I like US Survivor more than Australian Survivor. I know, check out the Australian rewatch podcast tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Great show. We do a great job covering Australian Survivor. But the thing is that there are a lot of players who make surprisingly deep runs. Liz Wilcox is my favorite example of this because she had no screen time in the early days of 46. And so I wrote her off as just like a pre-merge, like once Nabi goes to tribal council, once they make merge, then they'll go. Similar to like Katora, I would say as well. Like on Bello, she got not a lot of screen time. It was mostly towards her relationship with Bruce. And she also made it a very deep run. And so it's not a longevity thing with Chrissy, but the reason why I want to push back on her being a late bloomer is because of Tim Spicer, also from 46. Tim had no screen time in the early days of Sega, received very little confessionals. No one really understood his game until episode 4 or 5, where we heard a little bit of it. It was like he made that alliance at the journey and wanted to make that power alliance. And then we stopped hearing from him after that, and then he got voted out. And so Chrissy could have a very similar trajectory where she's just purpled for no rhyme or reason, and that's just it. You know.
Can I bring up a point in here? I don't want to be look, here's why I think that Chrissy is not going to be another Tim. Because on Tim's season, I feel like Tim was really on the outs. That he didn't really have a group of people that had his back and that was willing to work with him. And Tim was trying to make plans that people weren't really necessarily agreeing with. I feel like in comparison to the position that Tim was on Sega and the position that Chrissy's on Siva, I think Chrissy's in a lot better of a spot. Because I do feel like from the interactions that we've seen from Chrissy that are outside of confessional-based interactions, it's had a really good social game. She seems to be really up there and boosting, and with I mean, she really boosts the morale on the tribe. And if I was on the tribe, I mean, maybe this is just a personal thing. I feel like I would really connect with Chrissy out there on the island, and I'm feeling that, and I. A tribe swap can work wonders.
I mean, I'm not saying Chrissy's like playing a bad game. It's just the edit we've seen and the we haven't seen inside Chrissy's mind yet. And also Jay disagrees with Tim. I also slightly disagree. I think the way Sega was set up reminds me a lot of how Siva is nowadays, where it's like there are some alliances, but nothing was formally tested because a lot of it is just we are vibing well with each other, we love each other. And Jay also says maybe Chrissy can go on a journey and the edit will blossom. And potential Genevieve treatment, which would actually be really sick and really funny if Chrissy ends up being the mastermind.
There's also 2 idols to still be found.
Oh yeah,
Chrissy gets on the right beach. You might find something.
Let's find the idols. And I mean, also I don't think Charity's like hardcore targeting Chrissy and Camilla. I feel like Charity is countering Camilla to an extent because Camilla threw Charity under the bus episode 1, which I also like kind of forgot about. I don't think they've brought that up ever since, but I feel like Chrissy has potential and movement. It's just if we try to make any long-term guess on what Chrissy's game is going to be like, it's just going to be based on nothing except for vibes, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why we need to see more. I feel like how many confessionals has she had? She hasn't had any more than 5 this whole season. I think Chrissy has the lowest confessional count. I think that's safe to say that she has the lowest of anyone this season so far. I don't know. There's something that they're not showing, and I have high hopes for her. I think she definitely has a lot of room to skyrocket here.
Oh yeah, and she actually does. She has had 3 confessionals all season. The second lowest, I'm pretty sure is Star, which is fitting because Star is next. What is up, Star?
I ranked Star this low. I considered my 2 lowest people on my list for my rankings were people who didn't have a vote, but Star was on the higher spectrum of that because Star can regain their vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, Star, I don't know what's going on. I don't see a gameplay. I mean, I know that Star wants to work with people, but you also told everybody about the idol. And I feel the people that Star is going to put their trust in will snake them later. I think Thomas is a really big villain this season, or it's showing that Thomas is willing to make those deceptive moves. And I don't feel like it's in Star's best interest. And I don't think Star realizes that right now. I really wish Star could find an ally in this game that actually has Star's back. So I'm hoping that will open up for her.
I thought this was actually a really good episode for Star. I disagree. I think Star found her footing with Thomas and Bianca, because I think Bianca, from the vibes I'm getting, because we haven't seen much of Bianca either, to be fair, I feel like Bianca is the 5th in the Loggy tribe. Obviously, Star's on the bottom. Star knows that Star's on the bottom. We all know Star's on the bottom. That's just non-negotiable. We know that. But after Star, it's like, the California girls, they're going to want to say it's Ava to Thomas to make him feel better. And then to Joe, it's going to be Bianca. I see Shaheen siding with Joe on that.
Well, yeah, Shaheen said specifically, I believe Joe is his number one. Yeah.
By proxy, so is Eva. So I think linking up and then telling Ava's whole, I want to throw someone under the bus and like try to gauge and try to pick for information. Star used that against Ava, and like Thomas and Bianca have another out now, because before they didn't. And I don't see the long-term play with Star. I don't think Star's making a very deep run into the season, but I do think Star's going to make enough waves to cause something big to happen. I think Star is going to like a Rube Goldberg machine, like a Thomas vote out, or like a crazy Ava blindside 5 episodes from now, right? And I feel like the dominoes start with Star, and like what would a good trap stop be for Star? I think not a lot of Loggy members. I think getting paired on with like Vula could be good, because then a lot of heat would go on Vula. Like I think if they swap with Cedric and Say, I think that would be a great swap for Star. Not Say, Sai. My bad. No, Say.
No, Say. I think actually Star would be a really good ally member for somebody on Siva. I'm thinking Siva might be Star's calling, because what if what if Star was able to find the idol, and let's say like Camilla and Kyle brought in Star
That's
and
what I'm
helped her with that, and now they got 2 idols that they have and an extra vote.
Which it's crazy because I'm like, when I think of like underdogs in a swap, I always associate them going to other underdogs and having a big revolution, you know? Like when I think of Star at the swap, I'm thinking she goes to say she goes to Mary, she goes to like Chrissy. I think Chrissy's lower on the bottom on Siva, right? But like Star going to Camilla and Kyle and making a 3-person alliance, that would actually ruin the game of Survivor, especially with an idol. And so I feel like there are swaps and there's a lot of potential for Star, but I think based off the screen time and her presence in the narrative so far, I don't think she makes a very deep run. Because I feel like a lot of it has been very one note of being backed into a corner and just trying to claw her way through login. And it works. We've seen it before. We've seen it with like Rachel last season where she was trying to claw her way through. And honestly, a Camilla, Mitch, and Star alliance. Camilla, Mitch, Mary, and Star.
Camilla would have to bring Kyle into that. That's the only thing. I don't feel like Camilla. Here's the thing. I feel we'll talk more about this when it comes to Camilla, but I feel like Camilla's number 1 is Kyle. Camilla will always include Kyle, but I feel like Kyle, after this last episode, it showed that Kyle was willing to be open to alliances without Camilla. I think Camilla is more loyal, but Kyle is more open and adaptable to work with new groups. And I think that that's really powerful to have, especially with an idol. Gives you a lot of power.
Yeah, but at the same time, what if Camilla doesn't swap with Kyle? What if they are on different tribes, you know? Because that is also possible.
That is.
And I'll get to more. We'll talk about Kyle and Camilla way down longer the line.
Oh yeah.
But you know what happens with Star's vote? I think she just loses it for a tribal council. I'm pretty sure that's how that, like, logistically. How do you think that happens?
I think you lose a vote. I think you don't get your vote back. You have to suffer with it. The question that I'm a little bit more concerned about is what happens if Star doesn't stay on the beach? Unless if you find that beware advantage, you have to stay on that beach in a tribe swap. Like you're automatically on that tribe. I don't know.
I was thinking you just lose your vote for a tribal. Like you lost your chance to grab it because I think I would say it's unfair to Survivor players for not letting them, like, for just plucking them out of their tribes because they don't know the swap's coming, especially New Era. But at the same time, too, it's the same episode where Justin got voted out because he didn't roll the dice properly. And he got like 4 skulls on his first roll.
Hopefully Star will find it before.
That's what I think.
And if Star finds it, then we don't have to ever face that question. But yeah, no, I think that I think that's why I have Star ranked a little bit higher than the next person on our list. But yeah.
Star. We can go to the next person on the list. We have Bianca, who I think has some upside potential.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
Don't okay me.
I don't see Bianca's game. I don't see it. I think it's non-existent. I think she is following Thomas right now. I have not seen any strategic move or any strategic thinking, any strategy at all from Bianca. I feel like it's really been, I'm going to ride the wave with Thomas and hope that Star and this thing is going to be good for us. But she also lost a vote. So that really puts a dent in any plan Thomas and Bianca had at getting out of Eva. Because now, with the tribe swap, Bianca is going to be on a new tribe. If they find out she doesn't have a vote, she's gone. She's gone.
But the only person who knows that Bianca doesn't have a vote is Thomas, who has a vote steal. And this early in the game, I think it's in his best interest to use a vote steal to protect Bianca if possible. Also, that Bianca did have a good lie. I kind of I forgot the specifics of what she said, but her going like, Yeah, remember that one really hard challenge from like 8 seasons ago? They brought that back, and I just didn't play.
Well, that was a good lie, but for me, I would never, ever, ever believe somebody if they came back to camp and told me that they didn't risk it. I'm
Yeah.
always going to assume that the person played. Always. Like, what? You get an opportunity to go on a journey that could be your only journey that you go on. You play the game, risk your vote. But don't come back and tell me that you didn't get anything, because my eyes are locked.
And plus, it's just I feel like I would always have a hard time believing someone because it's either like they're lying because they don't have a vote and they don't want us to know they don't have a vote, or they have an idol and they don't want us to know they have an idol.
Yeah.
And it's probably easier to believe when you're in person. Like on screen watching it live, I'm like, this is such a dumb lie. Especially Justin's lie. I know we were done talking about Justin, but like his whole pitch was, yeah, I rolled dice. I got 4 question marks. We'll find out tomorrow, gang. Because what if he stayed? What if he stayed? And it was like the next day, he's like, yeah, we ain't getting nothing. But no, I think this was a decent narrative episode for Bianca. I think she had a lot more focus and screen time. And I think her going on the journey, as bad as it was for her, I think she formed an actual sub-alliance outside of Thomas with Star. And I think her intuition in not trusting Ava and wanting to work with Star has some upside to it. And I think Bianca is a better sleeper pick than Chrissy, because we've heard at least something from Bianca once an episode.
Agreed.
And that is a trait shared with every winner since, I think, Erica. Every winner has had one confessional in every episode to varying degrees. You know, like Rachel last season was kind of dead for a minute. Jam Jam, I think, had like 20 in every episode, but that's okay because that's Jam Jam.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm already ruling out Chrissy for having nothing, you know. Meanwhile, Bianca had 7 whole confessionals. Also, I personally hate it. I think if it was optional and phrased as you have a chance, you are able to opt in to risk your vote. And then also add like a double or nothing clause, like they do with some of the journey challenges, where it's like you could try press your luck. So have like a you get like a 1-day idol if you roll correctly, or you can roll 2 dice to try to get like an idol that's good till final 5, but then you lose your vote for 2 rounds, something like that. But I personally don't like it. I think you should be able to opt out, quite frankly.
You should be able to opt out, especially when you already know that you're going to tribal council. That kind of puts Justin in a really screwed position, because if he loses his vote, he pretty much guarantees goes home. Like, it's really, you should be able, journeys should always be an option. Always.
Yeah. And also it's like, I agree, Jay. I love modern Survivor. I think New Era Survivor is actually like one of my favorite eras of Survivor. I love all the casts. I love, maybe it's because of the StockWatch and Survivor Now, but like there are still some glaring flaws. Speaking of glaring flaws, that's such a good transition. We're talking Cedric finally. You have him at number 8, which is actually the most insane StockWatch take I've ever seen. And I had Hannah Rose quite high in the preseason rankings to 45. I need you to explain yourself, Mr. Josh Elliott Pickle.
I think when it comes to Cedric has a really good social game. I mean, his conversations, he's very analytical. He's very smart. He's intelligent. He speaks calm and softly. But Cedric has a lot of flaws. And we saw it in this last episode. Not only did he vote for every single player in his tribe, he did not stick to his guns. And he showed that he plays emotionally. When it gets to that point, his heart was with Say, but his mind was with Justin. And over time, he let his heart overtake what was strategically probably best for him. I mean, Say could be a great shield, but Say is not going to help draw in more allies for you, Cedric, and you're probably going to have to deal with being a lone wolf situation. somebody will scoop up Cedric because Cedric is not a toxic player in this game. Cedric is not somebody who's manipulating things to his advantage. Cedric's transparent, low-key, chill, and just keeps it, a buck with everybody, if you will.
I mean, yeah, sorry.
I like that. No, that's why even at a tribe swap, I think Cedric will fit in every scenario, but he's going to be likable. I don't think he's the next to go. I think there are other people in a worse spot. Cedric can talk his way into one, but his actions of this tribal, he needs to fix that. We got to start thinking with our head again, because I think voting every single player, I mean, they all have a reason to be pissed at you now.
And not just that, but I like how you called him low-key despite having the craziest statistic, I think, in Survivor, which is voting for your entire tribe in one tribal council. That is historic, quite frankly. And the quickest player to vote out cast a vote on his entire tribe too. He's a game changer. Put him on 50. And so Cedric had the choice. So I think the reason is that Say was locked into voting for Justin, and I actually have no idea how that vote happened. So like Say was locked into Justin. Justin got revealed that he didn't have a vote, but the way deadlocks work in Survivor, I've noticed, is that it's less about the numbers, but it's more of a concept. So like it was deadlocked, which didn't mean that all the votes landed properly. It just meant that it tied or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
And so because Say voted for Justin, Cedric voted for Say, and I believe the first vote, the first parchment cast, I'm pretty sure, right?
So, you know what? Honestly, I would love to see if anybody asks this, but maybe Cedric didn't know the rules. Maybe Cedric thought if he picked Say, that Justin and Say would have went to fire. Because I was hoping that it was going to be fire. So if that happened, then at least there was a competition and it didn't have to be Cedric calling it out, because it seemed Cedric got emotional. I don't think he entirely understood that he was going to have to make that decision and be the sole person deciding that if he didn't deadlock. But then again, he didn't know about Justin not having a vote. I mean, after seeing the numbers the first time, you should have realized that, two people didn't have a vote, because Shot in the Dark and Justin. So,
Sorry. I was gonna say, I wanted to point out the comment from Ronnie earlier. I kept that in mind the entire while we we're talking about everyone else. But yeah, I can't see anyone. I feel like word's going to get out. Mary has every reason to tell everyone about Cedric, because Mary's not tight with anyone on Vula. Like Mary, it's in Mary's best interest to just go scorched earth with Vula and say Cedric voted for everyone. He's insane. And Say's been running the game since day one, And so I feel like people would like Cedric. I don't think people would disrespect him. He just reminds me a lot of Dan Barry, the astronaut. Shout out to Dan, by the way. Bring him back. I just don't see the active gameplay, and I don't see the active gameplay. I don't see him going out of his way to form multiple alliances, because he formed one alliance and that was it, and that was the entire Vula game for him, and it worked out. But I think a lot of it is just circumstance and very circumstantial, and so I have a hard time thinking Cedric is going to make a particularly deep run. But at the same time, I love Cedric. I love how chaotic and messy and wild his gameplay has been, because I don't think anyone was expecting this level of behavior or this level of gameplay from Cedric at the start of the season.
I've said it since last night. I think Cedric made $1 million mistake. I think someone's going to be upset about that, but
I think everyone's upset about that.
I would love to see a scenario where Cedric, Mary, and Say all can't get along with each other, and they find their own alliances and battle it out that way.
That's what I think.
That would be sick. That would be so cool. I would love that.
I just realized that Cedric has casted 6 votes total in his time in Survivor. He's been there for 7 days, 1 week.
And he's casted 7 votes. He'll probably have casted the most votes in Survivor history. Imagine.
If he makes it to like the final tribal council, that's such an easy statistic. Especially if he gets like an extra vote.
That could be win trajectory if Cedric has the right story of why he should win.
I think with anyone else, I think you need like a proper underdog. But yeah, and also like if he swapped with Say and Mary or Mary, like he needs a complete restart. And even then, I don't know how he's going to describe his game. Like even if he's not with Say and Mary, right? And he swaps, let's just say he's with like Joe or Shaheen or like Ava or anyone from Siva, and he's describing what happened. Like how would they respond to Justin's tribal council? You know? Because I don't think Cedric is going to say like ran the whole game. I just don't know. I don't know what his plan is. But speaking of plans, we know what David's plan is. Man's winning $1 million and starting a family of 4. Shout out to David. David, I want to start with David if you don't mind. Josh Elliott Pickle. No offense, Josh Elliott Pickle. I think David. I think his time is coming up soon.
No, what? No.
I think we're set up because like we already have the emotional backdrop. Like his edit on paper is such a storybook narrative. He starts out at some point he starts out cocky and confident. I'm so sorry about my stutter, by the way. I don't know what just happened. But he starts out confident and cocky. He's like, I want to show the world I'm amazing. And then today we get that emotional backdrop. Like, you know, I want to do, and like, it's a great emotional story. It felt too Winter-esque. You know, it felt like, this is a crazy pool. It felt very like Maria from Survivor 42, you know, like it was clear they wanted that narrative, that emotional beat, that emotional story, and that's David's Survivor experience. It just felt way too soon, and it's like having the Emily Flippin angel lift happen in episode 3, and because of that, I'm very worried about what happens to David soon because I feel like he's losing a lot of steam strategically. And I was actually really confident that he was just going to get the boot this episode because of how like ham-fisted it felt. And I say ham-fisted, I don't want to disrespect David in his personal story. I actually really liked it because it was out of nowhere and it's not really a problem a lot of people will share openly on Survivor. And it made him a very complex character. And I like that. I just think that because he's now complex and rootable and we like David now and he's a lot more rootable than he was.
Now that we like David.
Okay, I've liked David, but David on the rootability meter has went up by 20 points.
Agreed. This episode was definitely a massive win for David. A massive win. I feel like when I saw this at the premiere, I thought to myself, wow, this guy is a villain. This guy wants to make moves. He wants to stab people in the back. And maybe that's the idea that David came into this game and wanted to play. But I feel like we really saw a different side of David where the narrative has switched, where I'm starting to see David come up as more of this hero that he wants to be for, I don't know yet. I see David as a Jonathan Young type. And I mean, if that's a crackpot theory, you know, if that is
not crackpot theory, enough. I'm sorry.
It's not crackpot.
That makes sense. I agree.
I see the archetypes of Jonathan Young and David would be that they're these, on the outside, they look like these big physical guys, brute force. But Jonathan said it well in his season that there's like a stereotype that comes with people that, are jacked and are built. And I feel like we see the same side with David, where David really wants to, in his confessionals, he expresses he really wants to prove something to the world. Like he wants to show people what he's capable of. And he's acting like a hero now. I feel like he has his group, he has his people that he wants to trust, but he doesn't have number one. And David's actually another buy low for me. I really, really, really like David, and I hope that when this tribe swap happens, he's going to find somebody that he's just going to lock in with, or somebody that he's going to trust, because if he doesn't, then I believe you're correct, Will, in that standpoint. If he can't find somebody that he entirely trusts, or if he can't link up with somebody who's absolutely on the bottom and is looking for a number one, I feel like David's really just going to fall short of what I feel like a lot of people are now rooting for. David is becoming a fan favorite, and yesterday was a massive win. Massive win.
Yeah. I think, honestly, this is crackpot.
Oh,
but let's get ready. I'm gonna play the graphic, but I think David could link up with a player that on paper I think they would get along with really well because of their position in the game. But first, you are not ready for the David and Mary duo of the season. Lock it in.
You know what? When you said that, I was thinking that. Actually, it would make sense. Because if David really had a connection with Mary, who has absolutely no one, I mean, that would give David the number one that he's looking for. And Mary as well.
Oh, yeah.
Mary's looking for a group. Mary is a free agent. I don't think I've seen a freer agent this season than Mary. Well, I mean, there's only one free agent, but I don't think I've seen a freer agent than Mary.
I mean, but at the same time, Mary's position, it's very I mean, it's easy to be the free agent when you're just like the one in an alliance against alliance of three on a treble four, But David and Mary, that is crackpot. I feel like it makes sense though.
Now that is crackpot. Well, no, it does make sense. Actually, like when I was thinking about that, I agree. Mary is a great prospect for a potential ally for David, I guess. But I mean, look, if we're watching the episode next week and we see David and Mary on a tribe, I'm honestly hoping that David will be able to link up with them, because I feel like they both would bring different things to the table in their gameplays and how they would play. I feel like Mary has potential to be a player who's really good at getting information. Yeah. And David is a player who can be really good physically to prevent other people from getting immunities. And I could see that, the way that the both of them would play this game could actually, help them both out. I could see it.
I don't know. I think, in all honesty, I think what we're about to get though is another duo with Mary and someone else, and the player I actually have next, and the player everyone on Survivor Twitter has been wanting to link up with Mary. We're talking Say.
No. No.
Do you think the Say and Mary pipeline is going to happen? Do you think they're going to link up? Do you think they're going to work together?
No. Wait. No. Yeah. No. Absolutely not. I had to think about it for a sec. And look, Say going up six numbers on the stock
is crazy behavior, by the way.
Look, we're getting to a touchy part of the season where we're on the loom of a tribe swap.
Yeah.
We have someone like Say. Now, Say could either be the biggest player of the pre-merge, and this is where, someone takes her out, or Say could be a massive shield for players in this game. And it could be another Q situation where everyone's just going to keep saying Say, and Say's just going to keep surviving. There's always that one person who's the scapegoat at the merge, who always gets the votes, is always considered as an option, but never goes home. I feel like Say's either going to be biggest pre-merge or that could happen. But either way, Say has shown very visibly that Say could be a shield, a really big shield too.
I want to agree, and I want to say that Say makes it farther. And I like Say a lot, actually. I didn't think I would at first. I thought I would find Say to be like a little overbearing, because I think I just don't like when characters are overexposed. Like, I wasn't a big fan of Banu in 46. And players like that who just soak up a lot of screen time, Russell Hance being another one.
Yes.
But then you bring up Q. Q was overexposed, especially in the pre-merge of 40 or the late merge of 46, where he just went off the rocker. And I think Say now is different than Say episode 1. And I like to Say a lot because she's a lot more level-headed. She's just playing a mile a minute. And I think because she's so overexposed is because she goes out soon and they're trying to make her a big character, kind of like they do with Banu. But Jay might have the inside scoop. There will be a duo who doesn't want to work together but end up because they need each other. That could be a lot of people, though.
Did he say that?
That's words from Probst.
Because look, we could be thinking about Mary and Say, but also, you know what that could go with, Jay? Eva and Star.
I was about to say Eva.
Now, Eva and Star, because look at the trailer that we saw for next week. There were two things we learned. Say is on Siva now, and Say seems to be really happy with her position. And Eva seems to be on Lagi or on a tribe, but she's unhappy, which tells me that either Star is on her tribe or she's separated from Joe, or maybe both. But I would love to see Eva and Star have to work together because they're the only two Lagi members, and Star doesn't have a vote.
And that, I feel like that could also extend to Thomas. I feel like Thomas would have beef with someone too. I could see Thomas and like Kyle not being at heads with each other during like the swap, and then once the merge hits, they're like, we have to link up now.
But Kyle's a villain. Whoa, sorry. Thomas is a villain. Kyle's a hero. Sorry.
I was gonna say there's no way.
No, Kyle is a hero. He's really been humble throughout his game, and I like that about Kyle. Kyle's starting to become a favorite of mine. I'm starting to see a little bit more of how Kyle plays calm, cool, and collected, especially with the idol. Like,
oh yeah,
good combo.
But I will say the Ava and Star, that does deserve a. Don't worry, Jay. I got you. I'm the people's stock watcher. But yeah, no. Going back to Say, I think just because there's the hint that there's going to be an unlikely duo doesn't mean it's Mary. I mean, all of the signs are pointing to being Say and Mary, which is why they're so respectful to each other and like always complimenting each other, which is another good quality, another good trait too about Say that I really like. Again, I feel bad because like every time I'm on Twitter, it's always like the Rob has a podcast popularity polls, and she's always dead last, and she's like, why? So Say for the StockWatch popularity poll, you are number 1, just for you, Say.
So one thing I want to say about Say too is, despite everything negative that you can kind of say, like, I mean, Say has played really loud. Say has played very visibly in the game, and I mean that's great that Say has played this game at such a high level. But what I would want to say is that I really do respect the fact that Say fought really.
Yeah.
And I feel like Say isn't getting as much credit. Say has fought really hard to stay in this game.
Say should have went home, bro. How did Say stay?
Like, honestly, if Say goes home in the pre-merge, I would hope that Say was proud at the way that she, because to play at this level and to go to 3 straight tribal councils and to not go home with the way that you played, and now you're on a tribe swap.
Yeah.
And look, think about it. What are the odds that Say gets on another tribe with at least one member of Vula? If Say goes on a whole new tribe and Say is the only person from Vula, nobody's gonna know how she played. She
Exactly.
can play a whole different game. And Say, this is why I have Say higher. This is entirely why I have Say higher, because I think this tribe swap really changes the game for Say, because now Say can put Say in a whole new alliance and pledge her allegiance to a whole new group of people that will have Say's back.
Yeah, and I could see it. I just don't see the win equity.
Okay.
And that's why she's low for me, because that's honestly just what my rankings are always based off. That's why I have Cedric below Chrissy, even though that's why I have Chrissy above Cedric, even though I think Cedric could go further, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like even then though, but like, I feel like if Mary and Justin say is like a reactive player, Say could also just say like, they were just lying because they were against me. I had an alliance and they want to be gone. They could just lie.
God. If Say comes in and completely lies about how the dynamic is and convinces everybody else that their story is false and that they made it all up, if Say did that,
that'd be the craziest gaslight.
Instantly be my favorite player of the new era, because how evil would that be?
Especially to poor Mary. Imagine being Mary in that scenario where you're on the bottom the entirety of Vula. You finally swap, and the person who's running Vula tells everyone that you were running Vula and that she's on the bottom. That'd be evil.
I think that's definitely something that's in Say's wheelhouse. Like, I feel like that's definitely a move that Say was willing to pull out at this point. Say's like, I've already played guns to the wall and I'm not going to stop now. So honestly, I think I might have to root for Say. Like Say has gone 3 rounds and has not been knocked out. Not been knocked out. You can't tell me that there's no respect. Okay, let's say the game ends right now, right? Say goes to final tribal council. Are you telling me that Say has not had a resume to win the game from this point?
Josh has taste.
What?
Like,
what?
And like a lot of the reasons why I think people rag on Say is also the same reasons why a lot of people love Say, because she's playing endgame Survivor on day 7, and she has to.
That's what keeps me so into it, is that like I feel like this is going to be such a great season for the new era, because they're playing endgame Survivor at the beginning, and by the time that Say is gone and we don't have Say playing endgame Survivor, people are already going to keep up with that tone. Say is going to set the tone for this season, and I'm expecting it to be cutthroat. I honestly think this is going to be a cutthroat season. I am locked in. Usually it's taken me about 3-4 episodes to really start loving people in the season and really starting to see the dynamics and get into it and see how everything's going. But this has just been bloodbath. And I'm like, as a Survivor fan, I'm probably having more fun than ever watching it live than looking back at the old seasons, because Survivor is back, baby. Survivor is back.
And that's why I like New Era Survivor. It's fun. It's great. Like, I'm sorry. I don't gatekeep, but don't come to our chat and say like Survivor peaked 30 years ago. I miss Richard Hatch. This is like great Survivor, man. You just have to appreciate it. Speaking of learning to appreciate, let's talk about Charity Nelms.
Love her. She's great. She's in a great spot. She got a final 2, like with Mitch. You know, talk about this. Like, let's talk about that. Week 1, I had that stock on Mitch and Charity, and it's looking real good right now. I still have to keep her low because right now she doesn't really have anything else outside of Mitch, but it definitely boosted her up a little bit. Like there was a confirmation that Mitch has Charity's back, that Mitch's number one is Charity.
Yeah. My only thing with Charity is that there's been no progression with Charity over the last 3 episodes. There's no evolution. Yes, she started working with Mitch, but I feel like that whole storyline between her and Mitch, it happened randomly and it felt kind of inorganic in a way. But she could be like Venus, like in a way I could, but not really, because I don't see a villain with Charity. I saw a villain with Venus. Charity
Venus still went to 7.
What's that?
Venus still went to 7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Charity can go to 6.
I love Charity. I just like it's really the tribe swap's going to change everything. Like this is the first. I would say this week's stocks are the stocks that we're going to be looking at for everything that was original tribes.
Yeah.
Next week, everything is going to be so different because we have to go off of the new dynamics that we're seeing.
Exactly.
And so right now, Charity could be here at a 10.5 average and at the number 9 overall. However, that could change, and Charity could be in a top 4 alliance on the most dominant tribe. So anything can happen.
And we have a question for: do you think Charity will succeed in flipping Kyle and David to her side, given that Kyle talked about being in the middle, potentially choosing Charity and Mitch over Chrissy and Camilla? I
don't know that, because here's my theory. My theory is everybody's been open. Kyle obviously is a very select bunch who knows about the idol. So like the idol is something that's enclosed information. The things that have been public were the extra vote and the block a vote. So Kyle knows what those advantages lead to, but an extra vote is, in my opinion, just a tiny bit more powerful than a block a vote.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, actually, no. A block vote's better because that removes shot in the dark.
Oh, I would think that just an extra name written down is a little bit more insurance. But I can see that blocking somebody's vote, and they can do it secretly too.
Yeah, but
block a vote secretly.
I like what Gemini said. I don't see Kyle choosing Charity over Camilla. I think if it was all of Siva against Camilla, I could see Kyle being like, I have to let Camilla go. But the dynamics aren't like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the dynamics would be like that. Because I think Camilla's been playing a pretty stellar game so far. And we'll get to Camilla.
I want to talk more about Camilla because I feel like I completely misconceptualized who she was as a person, and I thought she was going to come in and play this game a specific type of way based on my initial introductions with her, but I really like how she's played, and I do think that she's going to be a loyal player in this game, to Kyle specifically too.
And we'll get to Camilla way later down the line. Still way later, by the way. Next up, though, we have Ava Erickson, who is in a weird spot. Really weird spot. Because I still have her at number 8. And the midpoint rankings for me are the in-betweens. The people in limbo. And that's...
Would you consider Charity in limbo, too? Because I would consider her in limbo. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have Ava at number 8. And for me, it's like number 6 through 11. Or number 6 through whatever Charity was, 12, are the limbo people.
Okay.
And
all right. Yeah, I see the list. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ava, to me, still feels very personal narrative coded and not strategic game player. I'm not saying Ava doesn't have strategy. I'm not discrediting her strategy. But when people talk about Survivor 48 and people talk about Ava, it's not going to be her strategy per se, but who she was and how and like her story. Just like how when we talk 45, the best storyline to a lot of people was the Emily Flippin storyline. or the reason why a lot of people said Carolyn was robbed in 44, because they love the character. And I love character-based players. They're some of my favorites. I think Greg Buis is the first example of that and is still my favorite player of all time. That said, I don't know about the win equity, and a lot of judgment gets clouded because she is such a heroic character, even though this was a pretty bad episode for her, all things considered. What do you think about Ava?
I like Ava. I think you do make a great point to an extent.
Thank you.
I'm willing to give Ava a little bit of slack, only because Ava is not really being brought into major alliances, but also has not gone to tribal. So we really haven't gotten to see any strategic side from Ava because Ava really hasn't been in the position to make any strategic moves. So I feel maybe with this tribe swap, we could be seeing a more strategic version of Ava moving forward into the game. And I think she watches Survivor. She seems to be a super fan. I'm sure that she will be able to come up with something when the time comes right. I just don't feel like we've had the opportunity to see that. And when it happens, I'm excited to see her pull off some moves.
Yeah. And I still get worried because her start of the game was a very emotional start. And I think she did a great job confiding in Joe. It's just we haven't seen her really interact with anyone else besides Joe. And her relationship with Joe is becoming more and more obvious. I think making the bracelet for Joe's daughter was insane to do publicly. Publicly. That was the most insane thing I think I've seen.
That was this whole tribe. I was like, oh no.
And it's the same episode where Cedric voted for his entire tribe.
Oh.
And that still might be more insane. Because at least Cedric wasn't in the best position going into it. Ava was in a way better position than Cedric. And so I do worry that in a swap, I don't know how if she can have another Joe or find a new Joe, because if she swaps with Joe, then a lot of people are gonna be like, this is such an obvious duo. We need to take one of them out, and Joe's good at challenges. And if she's not with Joe, but if she's with like Thomas, Thomas is villainous enough to want to vote out Ava.
Yeah.
Actually, do you think Thomas and Ava swap together and Thomas votes out Ava?
It's a possibility for sure, but if Thomas and Ava are the only two from their original tribe on a tribe where they're like in the minority, I would hope that Thomas at least tries to work with her. I would hope, or at least tells her, hey, like I have a steal a vote, like let's make something happen with this.
But if Thomas wouldn't tell Bianca about the steal a vote, he's not telling Ava.
Well, in his confessional, he said, I'm not telling anybody that I have it until it's a moment where I absolutely have to.
Yeah. But like, I'm trying to think of what the numbers would be where telling Ava about the vote steal benefits Thomas more than just using it.
So let's oh, okay. Well, I just see like, because there's 3 people who are eliminated, right? So 15 players. If there's a tribe swap, they keep the 3 tribes. You have 5 players at each tribe. If Thomas has one other person, he can just steal someone's vote, and then that's majority.
Yeah.
Put Thomas in a really good spot, no matter where he is on the tribe swap. Because as long as he has one person voting with him, it's golden.
True. So yeah. But even then, like, I feel like I don't know. I get strange vibes. I don't see Thomas and Ava working together in any capacity.
Okay.
Unlike this next player who I think could work with anyone, and that's Mary.
Wow, we ranked Mary in the same spot, pretty much.
We ranked Mary way too high, and I low-key kind of regret that, but it's okay.
Way too high.
I
Mary
think
right now, I think is like I said, the biggest free agent in this game. I feel like Mary is going to tell people, literally, scoop me up. I will vote whoever you want. Just keep me included. Just keep me included. And I don't think Mary is going to respect Cedric at all.
no.
I don't think Mary is going to trust Say. So Mary's going to be on the outs because, oh, Cedric, you voted for me, and Say, obviously, I cannot trust you. So Mary's going to want. There's something about Mary. I listen. I think Mary's destined to go far in this game. I think Mary can find her group, and people are going to take her in as like an honorary member of their original tribe and work with them.
I think too, this next episode is going to be a breakout episode for Mary if she has the longevity and has the winner potential, because it's very strange looking at and talking about the Vola players in a way of like stocks, because they are on their own island right now, both literally and metaphorically, where no matter what happens during a swap, there's going to be a lot of baggage that comes with it. And I'm afraid that, it's easy for Mary to just be an outsider that gets swapped into an unfavorable position, gets outnumbered, and gets voted out swiftly.
Mm-hmm.
I think I am concerned with where Mary goes from here. She has a lot of potential and a lot of room. Absolutely. I'm not doubting that. It's just, I'm very worried about it, because we thought that with Justin. I thought Justin had a lot of wiggle room and a lot of maneuverability, and I even said that, like, no matter what happens at Tribal, Justin would be good. And so that's my fear with Mary, is that I don't want to like put her in that same box I put Justin in. And I do think a 2-on-2 from another tribe is good. I think honestly Siva and Lagi have enough beef as on their own to where, like, no matter what, if it's a 4-1 situation or a 3-1-1, I do think Mary could be good. I just don't want to put all my eggs in this Mary basket because it's never worked out before in StockWatch.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mary could survive a 4-1. Actually, I think at a 4-1 situation, the original tribe would start to say, hey, is this an opportunity that maybe we can pull in Mary as a trusted ally and take out someone else from our alliance that maybe doesn't bring something that Mary has. But a 2-2 scenario would also really work in Mary's benefit. The odds in my head are, it's either going to be everyone from Vula is going to be on their own separate tribe, or one tribe's going to have no members from Vula, another one's going to have one, and the other one's going to have 2. I do not see. It's so rare that you're going to see all 3 Vula members on a tribe. And even if they were on another tribe again together, the whole thing, it's going to be so dysfunctional that, I feel like everyone's going to go after everyone. It's a disadvantage.
And Jay says that he only sees top 6 from Mary. Do you know what I see with Mary, actually? Crazy specific. I see juror number 2. Second juror. That's what Mary's going to be.
Why second juror?
I feel like I can hear Jeff Probst saying the second member of our jury, Mary. Please bring me your.
Hello? Uh-oh. What happened?
I don't know what just happened.
Will, you're back. Hello.
Named Joe Hunter. Joe's number 5 for us.
Am I speaking triple right now? 555?
555.
Okay, 555. So I mean, he's 5, but he's average at number 6. Am I? Okay, well, listen, I have Joe at such a high spot. I love him as a character. I think he's really going to be a valued asset within an alliance, but there's going to come a time, and I think that they really showed it with this bonfire that Joe made. Joe really has shown to a lot of people that he can make fire. And I feel like to an extent, people are going to be afraid to take him to the end because he can make fire. So it's pretty much just a free walk in the park. Either Joe gets to the final 3 because he won his way there, or he makes fire there. And I think people are going to be afraid of that. And that's why I think Joe is going to make the jury, but he's going to go out right before the fire making comp. So we'll see at a 5, 6, maybe a 7.
Maybe 7.
Yeah, in that range.
I feel weird about Joe because he has such a very crystal clear winner edit right now. I think if I took all the human elements out of like analyzing the edit and took away a lot of my intuition and gut feelings, I think I would have Joe at number 1. I think he's fitting on the Loggy tribe 100%. He is a very clear hero, and he's using his job and leadership abilities in a way that's not a true like leader. Like saying morale is low, so I built everyone a bonfire is crazy. And he's a very lovable guy. Everyone loves him. And so I feel like because of that, it's a little too obvious for me. But I still have him at number 5 because it's such a gimme of a pick. You know, I feel like Joe above all is a very safe pick right now. Like definitely deserve to be number 5 overall or number 6 overall. The reason why he's number 6, by the way, I'm pretty sure is just because other people are also tied with 5 and because they had like a number 4 ranking from one of us, they got above Joe. So I think the next person you have at number 6, I have at number 4.
Got it.
Or no, I have them at number 2.
I love Joe.
Me too.
I've been saying the same things about Joe. I need it gets to a point where when we talk about the California girls or anyone from that alliance, it's so hard to say anything about them because there's not that much that's gone on. I need a tribal council to really start seeing how their game is going to play. And right now, I feel like it's a little kumbaya for Joe. Little kumbaya.
Oh, yeah. But kumbaya isn't always a bad thing. I just feel like kumbaya players never win.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's worked out before. I think Jam Jam was a pretty kumbaya winner, but even then, the TK3 had their own internal beef. Marianne, you can maybe say is kumbaya. But I feel like she was still a lot more overtly positive. Also realized I completely lied about the next player. I think I have them pretty low and you have them just way higher. And that's Mitch. Yep, number 4, number 6.
I love Mitch. Mitch is such a great character this season. I love Mitch. I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with Mitch.
I think Mitch is... It's crazy because is Mitch even the hero of the season?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I think so. I mean, Joe is a high contender for hero this season.
Ava's another high contender.
Mitch,
I think Kyle's a high contender. I think Cedric's
a guy though. Like this season, Mitch has an infectious personality, and I think that's really gonna carry him. Oh, when I think Kumbaya winners, I think Tom Westman.
That's a crazy pool.
Was Tom a little?
Yeah, dude.
That last challenge where he's like, "Well, if you trust me, you'll jump off the pole."
Well, like the way Palau was with Karor, I think because Karor like they banded together. You know, like they were close. And Tom was also a firefighter. So maybe Joe's the new Tom Westman. Anywho, back to Mitch. Sorry.
Mitch.
I think Mitch reminds me again like Ava in a way where it's like very personality coded, a lot of story, a lot of narrative, and not much strategy. But even then, we've seen Mitch initiate a lot of conversations with people, and that had better effects, and people walked away feeling better than with Ava. Ava goes to Star and like says like, hey, you know, like, do you have anything? Like, we should try to get one of the Brainiacs out. And Star went and told Bianca and Thomas. Mitch goes to Kyle and says like, hey, you know, like we should kind of look out for each other, and we should look out for each other. And Kyle's like, you know, I'll keep that in my mind. I'll keep that in my back pocket. And so I think that's kind of the tale of two characters. And that's why I have Mitch at number 6. I just think we're prepared for a very heroic send off of Mitch at some point in the season. Maybe late, like final 6, final 5. He finally gets got.
Mm.
Um, I just, but I feel like if he makes it to final tribal council, I think he's endearing enough, and I think people would like him and his story throughout the game. I could see it personally.
I see it too. I love Mitch. Again, it's really hard to talk about at this point in week 3 about anyone from Siva or Loggy, because I need to see a tribal council with some of their dynamics. So I think we're guaranteed to see a Loggy member or a Siva member go to tribal council next week. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how some newer players that we haven't talked strategically about, how their game starts to lead.
Yeah, and Mitch he had a quiet episode today, which not always a bad thing. I'm just curious to see again, like once episode 4 happens, and we're thinking back to, how the stocks and rankings have changed.
Mm.
Then I think Mitch is going to be one of the first players we talk about, and one of the first players we really look at. Speaking of players to look at, we're finally talking Camilla. About dang time. You have her at number 7.
You have Camilla at 2?
I do. I see it. I see the vision.
Oh, Camilla. I don't see Camilla going to the final 3.
I don't know, but I think she has some of the best winner potential.
You do? Okay, then I'd rather what do you think about Camilla? Because I don't have much to say. I did not expect I don't know.
I think the way we talked about Shaheen during episode 1 and 2 is how I think I view Camilla now. I think she's perfectly in the middle in terms of like if you ranked everyone on Siva based off their threat level, in terms of like their position, idols, and just like awareness of like what's going on around them. I think Camilla is a very strong number 2, number 3. I think Kyle is going to be a huge shield because I think Kyle is very likable, very heroic, and no one sees that now. But like, give it a few episodes, give him a swap, give him a lot of new people. People are going to love Kyle, and it could be like Caleb from 45, and Camilla could be the Emily, and I think she's aware enough to know when to play hard, when to play soft. She threw out Charity under the bus day 1, episode 1. But she's not continuing on. And that's like unlike say, started hit the ground running and hasn't slowed down. And Camilla is. And because of that, I do think she is a excellent contender to have. I think she's someone that not a lot of people are looking at. And I think we're getting enough Camilla content consistently. I'm also just rooting for Camilla because no one else has gone on Survivor and says chronically online except for Camilla. And that line alone, that confessional alone, describing David as being a Chad, made me a diehard Camilla fan. Low key. Straight up. What about you, Josh? Have I changed your mind? Do you see the vision now? What?
I need to see a little bit more with Camilla. I need to see how Camilla acts without Kyle. Because I feel like Camilla is so glued to the hip with Kyle, at least from my perspective. If Kyle and Camilla were to be separated, I'd love to see how Camilla adapts. And if Camilla can adapt really well in those environments, that would lead me to believe that I can see Camilla going a lot farther in this game. I just feel like it's really everything is based off of that connection with Kyle. And Kyle is really, really at the top of that tribe right now. Kyle has all the power and has the in on both alliances. I mean, David's being included in that, but it seemed like Kyle was being approached with the information, which is even more important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I want to point out this comment from Brad, too. I do get that. Say was in a bad position, but I think even if being afforded to be able to do it or not, she was still able to slow down and get a breather. Say still hasn't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying Say was in the wrong for playing hard, especially when Kevin was gunning after her episode 2. And then this episode, I don't blame Say for playing the way she is, but because she is playing the way she is, there are still a lot of pitfalls. But that's, I get that. Like, I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying Say it's her fault, it's Say's fault for being in her position, because being on that tribe, you lose brain cells, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I think Camilla has a lot of potential. I mean, it is possible she goes out next episode. And if that happens, I'm going to be very upset. But I think there's a lot of upside, and I think she's an actual dark horse to win. Someone who's not a dark horse, though, if we're talking Thomas, number 2?
Thomas. Yeah, I had Thomas going at number 2. I saw Thomas as somebody who definitely can make the final 3 at this point with the level of gameplay. But because Thomas is so villainous, I feel like someone's going to get upset about that. And that's why I don't see Thomas winning the game here. I think Thomas has a really great social game, but when his game catches up with him, how is that going to be reflected with the jury? Is the jury going to respect it?
I think they would. I actually think that Thomas will get voted out mid-late merge. And I think people are going to really respect his gameplay, kind of like how everyone respected like Genevieve last season. I think people are going to say great things about Thomas. I just think he is a very big villain, and I think the mask is slipping with Thomas. But, I mean, he's a great character. I love Thomas a lot. I love watching him.
The mask is slipping with Thomas because it really is.
Yeah.
He is. Maybe he feels a little bit more comfortable and doesn't realize that a lot of other people weren't ready. I mean, like Shaheen said it was too hard of a gameplay, to lose the key. But then Thomas said, "Oh, lose the key." And then this episode, Thomas wanted to help Star find the idol. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah. And there is also a secret scene where Star punches Thomas in the eye, by the way, and that explains his eye.
Wait, I thought that was the stick with Bianca.
No.
In the challenge, he got hit in the eye. I thought that was him getting hit in the eye.
Oh.
Star punches Thomas? Oh, I gotta
watch. No, I just made that up. Yeah, no. I don't know why I wanted to say that. But going back to Thomas. I just think it is still a little much for early on. And the way he's portraying himself, it feels like pre-merge villain in a way. Like, I just feel like the way he confessionalizes his game plan, wanting to throw the Beware advantage in the ocean, I actually think proved to be a pretty bad call, because this episode Thomas is now on the Star train. Like, he wants to actively work with Star, so I think throwing away the Beware advantage wasn't a good idea from Thomas. But I do think there's a lot of just potential with Thomas. I do think he is a very safe pick, assuming the game goes the way it's supposed to go with Thomas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think like one bad swap could do him in. But do you know a player who I think could get swapped on any tribe and be fine?
Hold up. Can I take a guess?
Yes, there's 2 players.
Let me do my mind reading. Kyle.
It is, but I want to point out this comment from Brad too. The California Girls dynamic of Shaheen being at the center, Joe the Angel, Thomas the Devil. I mean,
wow, that's a good take.
I don't think Shaheen gets pulled to the dark side. I think he's clearly on Joe's side.
Yeah,
but I do think Thomas is the devil in that scenario. I do think he goes rogue. If that's a way you want to look at it.
We need to make a graphic for Thomas.
Little devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, Randy. Next week, can you put devil horns on Thomas?
We get the devil horns.
The little devil horns.
The little halo.
Thomas or Halo and Joe.
Yeah.
And then on Shaheen's we have just Devil Thomas.
We put them on each shoulder.
Yeah. This is a great idea.
I like that. That was a good.
And you know what? Shout out to Brad for saying that, because that's a crazy accurate, spot on take. That's like the opposite of a crack pot. That's like a normal pot. You know,
pot theory.
that's a pot theory. You have Kyle number 1. I'm gonna let you take the reins on Kyle, because he's your winner pick. He's your go-to.
Question: did I pick him as my winner? Hold up. Did I? I don't remember picking him as my winner. Maybe
your ranking.
Oh my god, I did pick him as my winner. Oh. Well, I would have thought at the beginning of the game, Kyle had a really, really tough obstacle to overcome. And that was when he broke the glass and he wasn't able to bring supplies for his tribe. I thought that would have been his downfall. For him to not only come back to have a social game that got him in a 4 alliance, even though he had a disadvantage of not being with the tribe, he found an idol that he found and had help with his number 1, and is the only player on the tribe being offered 2 separate alliances with an idol in his pocket, the only person who has an idol, and at this point can choose his destiny. I think out of everyone in the game, Kyle has the best outcome and options available to him right now. This is why I picked Kyle as the winner. I thought I put him at the 2 spot, but Kyle is 100% worth being up there in the final tribal council. I think he's shown it. He's got a great social game, and Kyle's ready to play. Kyle already has played and is in a great spot.
The only thing with Kyle is that I think threat management is going to be a very big struggle with Kyle, because he has told other people about his idol. I think him helping Kevin out in the first challenge, huge heroic move. Kyle, the way he interacts with people, he tries to really mimic their energy level. Like we saw that with when he was talking to David, when David was talking about living in his trailer park.
Yeah.
Like Kyle was using David's energy at him, which didn't work out for that conversation. But that's a cue from a very good social game from Kyle, and I use that word, by the way, like same energy from Mike Bloom on Twitter. I just want to say that before I plagiarize. Shout out to Mike Bloom. Love you, dude. But Kyle, I think, has that social game on lock. I'm just afraid of he goes to merge and everyone's like, Kyle is just the greatest guy. Same thing with Joe to a lesser or to a bigger extent, actually. I think Kyle can hide it better. And I think Kyle has more strategic apt than Joe. And I think he has more of a killer instinct than Joe. And but even if he's a shields still do wonders. Rachel was a shield last season, like
he's a shield, but he's not a shield on the outs. Like Kyle still has a say, and people still trust Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, people were saying that Kenzie was a shield and a huge threat on the Yanu tribe, like in those Yanu days. And so, actually, you know what? Because y'all are saying he can struggle with threat management and agreeing with me, I'm going to agree with Josh. I'm moving Kyle up.
You are moving Kyle up.
No,
really?
I'm not. No.
Oh.
But I think there's a few different paths the season can go. I think one of those paths is a Kyle win. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many other paths also lead to a Kyle win, I think the game has to go a certain way. And I don't think Siva is the winning tribe this season. I do think a Lagi member's winning. But if it's Siva, it's either Kyle or Camilla. Also,
do you think that the Siva tribe when they get to a tribe swap, they're going to be a little bit taken aback by being in such a kumbaya state that the other people kind of had their paranoia and had their chances to scramble and go insane in the island.
Yeah, I think Siva and Siga are like the two closest comparable tribes. I think Lagi, yes, they've been winning everything, but there's still a lot of fracture there. There's still a clear pecking order, and there's still a lot of gameplay as if they went to tribal already, you know? And then there's also Vula, which we don't need to talk about Vula.
Yeah.
We've talked about Vula enough.
I just hope that the Siva members can adapt quickly because there's going to be two tribes that are pretty much ready to play, and they got to be ready to go. They have to be ready to play. Oh,
yeah. But I think no matter what happens, Kyle is going to end up pretty good in a really good spot. I could be wrong. I just think having an idol and being such a heroic figure, actually, I don't know. Maybe he's a crazy pre-merge blindside.
Could be. People have gone out with an idol in their pocket and they've been likable players and didn't expect it coming. But right now, I don't think anybody who knows about the idol is in a position to really jeopardize that. So if they hear something, maybe they'll say something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It really depends on this tribe swap that's coming up.
And then last but not least, we have Shaheen again.
He's always a top 3 for us.
I think he's just a safe player, man. No matter what happens on Loggy, it's like he's not overexposed. He's not underexposed. He's always like consistently getting pretty all right content. And getting all right content is what you want to get if you're a winner on Survivor, because it's not overly predictable. It's not like ham-fisted like it was with Joe and Kyle. You know, we had a scene, I can't remember if it was this episode or last episode, where he picks apart the entire tribe, you know, and like talks about them one-on-one. And we consistently hear from his line of thinking and his rationale, like he's almost the perfect social player. But I also don't think we're getting too much, and that's important. We only got one confessional from him this episode, you know, like this is a cool off episode for Shaheen.
But I think he's in a really good spot regardless. Even if it is an episode, there's still other areas to focus on. I feel like he's going to be all right. I feel like Shaheen is the character and the player this season who can adapt in any circumstance, on any tribe, he will be all right. That's how I feel. I don't know how you feel. I mean, I see him 100% top 3. Going to the final 3, what's his resume? I just see my final 3 was Shaheen, Thomas, and Kyle. And I put Thomas and Kyle there because the idol, the steal a vote. I think that maybe they might have bigger resume moves, but unsure at all. Who knows? I really want to see. I want to see what it would look like if Shaheen came onto a tribe swap and I was completely by himself. Oh, hi, Will.
Hello.
I was talking about what would happen if Shaheen was on a tribe swap where he was completely by himself. No Loggy members, you know, any combination of Vula and Siva. How would Shaheen be able to adapt from that?
I think in that scenario, I think Vula is always going to be fractured no matter what. I think he links up. I actually think he can link up with Sai. Not Sai.
Okay, that could be very possible. I could see that as well.
And I see it being like him working with Thomas, quite like honestly. I also see, because I think, I mean, like if Thomas went to 3 tribals back to back to back, he might be playing the same game Say is, you know, like to what Brad said earlier about Camilla and Say. like that. I feel like Thomas could be in a very similar position. We could talk about Thomas in a very similar way.
Yeah.
I also see Shaheen working with Mary, just because I think Mary would work with anyone, quite frankly. And I think if he was by himself, I think Mary would go to Shaheen first. On Siva, it's a little harder. I think he would get along well with Kyle. I also think Kyle would get along well with anyone. And I could see, Kyle and Camilo pulling in Shaheen. I think no matter what, he is able to work with anyone. Thank you, Isaac.
Will, you are my goat.
My boy Isaac right there. Shout out to Isaac. My goat, actually. Thank you, Isaac. Good to see you. But I think no matter what, he is likable enough, but also not insanely likable at the same time. I think he's able to just kind of sneak into any group or social settings and just like fit in. And also just look at him. He looks like a Survivor winner.
I mean, that's what you want, though. You want to be a social player that can just fit into any setting. I mean, that's a quality that all great Survivor players have. Your ability to adapt. I mean, you need to adapt well if you want to win Survivor.
Oh, yeah. And so I don't think there's anything else I have to really say about Shaheen because, again, it was a cool-off episode for Shaheen and for a lot of people in our top spot, Like, I'm looking at it, like, Kyle didn't really get a lot of screen time. Mitch didn't get a whole lot. Chrissy, it's another cooldown.
Chrissy's been on a cooldown, but
Chrissy's whole game is a cooldown.
It's not a rare occurrence, at least within the community, that Shaheen is the winner. I mean, a lot of people love Shaheen. I need to see a move. If Shaheen comes in and makes a big move, that's immediately going to give me the winner pick. But I know that he has the qualities and capabilities of making it to the end. I'm rooting for him. There's people right now currently in the game that have a little bit more power. And when Shaheen gets that, I'm all for him.
Yeah. And I think that's it for the stocks. Is there anything else you want to add on about any of the players?
No, I feel like we had a really great discussion tonight about everything that happened. I'm excited more so for next week when we get that tribe swap, because then we're going to start to see some cracks. And I think that's when the game gets just a little bit more interesting.
Oh, 1,003%. I'm very excited. I'm very scared because I feel like we've done a lot of setup for a lot of like long-term plans and ideas, and a swap could just ruin all of that.
It will. So let's enjoy it while we still have it.
And I think everyone, if Shaheen goes, by the way, you'll not hear from me.
Let's not.
I would go missing.
Think about it. No.
And same with Camilla, bro. Camilla and Shaheen, I think, are my top two in terms of just like I want them to go far. And Thomas.
Really? I mean, I like anybody from Loggy. Literally anyone from Loggy. I love Mitch. I love Chrissy. I mean, I would root for Kyle. I want to see him make a move. And I'm kind of rooting for Say now. Say and Mary. Cedric, Cedric kind of made me really upset at this last episode because if you're gonna go out and play Survivor, stick to your guns. If you're gonna vote out Say, vote out Say. Yeah. Because if you change your mind, Say's gonna remember you voted her not once but twice. And I honestly, as a player, it's like if you write my name down, I don't know if I can trust you.
Exactly.
I don't know if I can.
Anywho, I think that's where we'll leave this off. Catch us next week, same time, same place, same everything, but different tribes. And if you stick around for another 20 minutes, you'll catch the Australian Survivor stream. And I also just want to leave it off with Brad. Like, again, that is very impressive.
Yup. Hey, has that ever happened?
No.
Yeah. Imagine voting your entire tribe in one tribal. Oops.
Orgs could never.
Oh wow.
Any. Shout out to the org community. Mwah mwah. Anywho, take care, y'all. Peace, peace.